Oh yeah, everybody. Y'all know what it is. It's Saturday. It's high noon. Y'all see who I got in the building with me, man. He got he got about 10 grand worth of kicks back there if he was a reseller. But that's neither here nor there. My dog Antonio Williams. What's up with you, my brother?
Man, it's as if it hasn't been difficult enough, man, to hear about Uncle Cliff, man.
Yeah.
Is after we got the news yesterday from one of our brother about one of our brothers, Chadwick Boseman, man, and now we got Uncle Cliff. The hits keep coming, man, and I
20,
don't mean that in a good way, right?
2020 been on one, dog.
No question, man, no question. In honor of those brothers and all that we have lost, once again, it's on, man. Let's dive into this, and shout out to our brothers and sisters, our kings and queens in the NBA and the WNBA, especially our queens in the WNBA, man, because they have been mashing from the beginning, man. This is nothing new for them. It's unfortunate, but very fortunate that that they've been mashing, and we need to continue to be supportive of that, man, for sure.
And I do want to give a quick shout out to the WNBA ladies because they've been at the forefront of social issues and
No question.
using their platforms. I always like you can't thank Maya Moore enough for
Oh
putting
man.
her entire career like at the height of, championships, MVPs, and for her to have a cause that she believed in so much that she was willing to walk away from her career, the career that keeps a roof over her head, takes care of her family. For her to believe in social issues that much, man, and to see it all the way through to get the
Man.
overturned is like the W have they've been doing these type things. So I'm never shocked when those ladies truly stand up for a cause because
No
listen,
doubt.
they do.
That's exactly what they do, man. And and that's what they have done. That's what history tells us, even bigger than sports, right? That's what history tells us that our queens do, man. So we certainly need to do a better job of uplifting them and honoring them for what they do there. And then also too, just from a basketball perspective, Mason, I say this again, man. When you admire their skill level, at least when I do, I'm admiring the skill level. That's not about me supporting them,
Right.
right? That's not
Right.
about me making some social statement. These women are incredible players. So if you love this game the way that I love this game, and I'm married to it, man, like I want to see incredible players play. So but in terms of what you're saying, man, it cannot be lost on us what they have done and what they continue to do, man. Like it is, we need to do a better job of supporting and protecting them, man. That's for sure.
No doubt. So, let's get into it because the NBA will return on today after a brief standstill, led by the Milwaukee Bucks as more information comes out of the bubble. I know I was talking to my guys that are down there as kind of things were kind of going in real time. But today we do get NBA basketball back. My first question to you, as a guy who's worked in the NBA, you've been around all of these things. What were your initial thoughts when it first came out that Milwaukee, they weren't playing it? Then later we find out it was like Milwaukee kind of went rogue. They didn't kind of tell everybody. And just your initial thoughts when this first broke.
Given what these players, and again, going back to our queens and our kings, or that are in the W and in the NBA, given the circumstances that they entered the bubble in, and then these types of things continue to happen, it's almost like I told you before, right?
Right.
That's why
Right.
we had these conversations in terms of if we are going to come back, these are the conditions that we are coming back under, right? And some of those things were things that our kings and queens and our brothers and sisters talked about, and some of them were things that they didn't necessarily ask for, right?
Right.
So nonetheless, they entered into the bubble with a certain level of awareness, with a certain level of urgency. Let me say it that way, right? One of the things that they did, they entered the bubble considering the time, right?
Right.
So if they entered the bubble considering the time and then something like this manifested itself, nobody should be surprised that these were the actions of these players that we hold in such high regard. And then also too with the Milwaukee Bucks doing that and sort of quote unquote going rogue, what they did is they buffaloed everybody.
They
right?
boy,
They buffaloed everybody.
I said that Thursday. I said that night.
They buffaloed everybody.
NBA majorly.
That's exactly what they did. So we gonna make you stand on it.
Right. Right.
And so we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to leak it out there because some people may, part of the reason when you can get your information, I say this, Mace, as this is one of the things that I offer when I talk about media training for players and things that I talk to, because as a member of the media working at ESPN and doing it now, your message is so much more effective when somebody else carries the flag for you.
Right.
So now, when you do that, when Kenny Smith walks off the air, you know what happens? Now Wolf Blitzer wants to talk to him about it.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's in the media. So now they are carrying the flag for you. What's understood needs no explanation, right? That's one of the things that I have said, and I'm not anybody. If Hoop Fam, if you want to check the tapes, if you look at, I put a picture of Kyrie out earlier this week. I'm not new to being a Kyrie advocate. and I'm not new to that.
No.
New to that. And we're talking about, of course, beyond one of the questions last week was who would you take as a player? I opted for Dame as a player. But when I'm talking about Kyrie being the incredible talent as a player and some of the other things that he's already talked about and discussed, I'm not new to being this. Even before there are various platforms that I've been on, even before there was an actual concrete plan of having, when are we coming back to the NBA? I talked about some of the things that Kyrie talked about and said, you know what, maybe Kyrie isn't as off as people are saying that he is.
Facts.
Right.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it's I don't think people should be surprised by this. And then the other thing as well, considering the time, considering the history, didn't we already have a circumstance on the Milwaukee Bucks that hit home with them with one Sterling Brown?
Yes. Right.
So this happened in their backyard in Milwaukee. So how would the Bucks look if, okay, this happened for one of our teammates and we kept playing?
Yeah.
Right. This also, let's go back a couple years ago. And I've said this before, Maceo, and you know this, brother. Let's go back a couple years ago. When an owner of an NBA team in the city that I'm from was caught on tape saying some disparaging things about and incendiary things about us as people.
Yeah.
Right? Saying those things while he was pillow talking to his black girlfriend. While he was pillow talking to his black girlfriend, talking about black people.
Right.
Ultimately, those players, Chris Paul being the president of the Players Association, right? Of the Players Union, Chris Paul was on that team. They opted to go to half court, wear their warm-up shirts inside out, take them off, put them down, they played.
Right.
So time and time again, I've continued to grin and bear this. Right?
Yeah.
Let's deep dive a little bit more, brother. As black men, we have the lowest life expectancy of anybody in the United States.
Hold on. Minus that extra stuff, man. Just talk about our health. Like our health says that, and then now you start adding on these other influences, definitely.
Right. So now part of that is you want to know why certain figures that haven't said anything, now that the lane is open, they're talking now. They're not Johnny come latelys. You know what they are? They've internalized all of that pain, Maceo.
Right.
And now here's the time for them to talk about it.
Boiled
And I'm
over.
saying this as a brother. When you internalize all of that pain, you have to pay a price.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And part of paying the price is on your life expectancy, man.
Mm-hmm.
When we go out and we say, I have to be twice as good to get half the credit, or I step into the office and certain things have been said, and I have to figure out which battle it is I'm going to fight.
Right.
So 10 of those battles, I've internalized those and went home.
Yeah.
Internalize that.
Yeah, man.
Can't take that out on my family.
Yeah.
So where's the outlet? So that is part of the reason why we're in the situation that we're in right now. So these brothers and sisters have said no more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So nobody should be surprised that they did that.
Yeah. And I want people to also understand this, because I saw this comment and somebody was basically saying, well, think about this. The owners have given the players everything. They put them in this bubble. They've done this, and so I had to slow a guy down. I was like, listen, okay, 30 NBA owners. Don't think for a second all 30 NBA owners were good with having Black Lives Matter on the floor, were good with the guys having the messages on the back of the jerseys. That just became a business decision for the owners, because the owners they want to play these games because they didn't want to get this TV money back. So it was all a business decision. So let's not say, well, they've given the players everything. Let's not say that, because again, to a man, it's owners who kind of sit in their private chat rooms, and they're different. They like, man, look, I can't believe we gave these. I can't believe we doing this. Like, they're not happy about that situation. Please believe that part.
You are spot on, man. And what it comes down to. Seb, what up? What up, brother? What it comes down to is, I've said this before and I'm going to say this again, and I'm being totally honest when I say this. Because one of the things that we do here, as you say, is no hot takes.
No hot takes, baby.
It's hashtag RTO. This is real talk only.
Real talk only.
Right? So one of the things that happens is when you look at us, and this, you can extrapolate that out to society, not just basketball, but in this case, we're talking basketball. What you just said, I'm a word guy, Maceo, right? You know this, brother. Mm-hmm. We word guys, yes, right? Sir. We both wrote bars.
All day, baby. All day. Guys. All day.
So semantics mean a lot, right? What did you just say? That somebody said to you, the owners have given them everything. So when we are in this situation and we continue to talk about social change, social reform, it's not enough.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything if there isn't any economic change.
Right.
Case in point, from a social standpoint, Maceo, we fought for the right to sit in the classroom next to people. We fought for the right to be able to sit in your restaurants. We essentially fought for the right to give you some money. We fought for the right to give you some money.
Yeah.
So since we fought for the right to give you some money, and we do that now, right? We can go sit right next to you. We can go sit in your classrooms. But at the same time, Maceo, as we've done that, there's less Black entrepreneurship. So have we really moved forward? So we've had all of these social advances, but we've actually taken a step back from an economic standpoint, right? So now our entire existence is in the palm of the hands of people that are owners.
Right. Right.
So now you have people saying the owners have given you this.
No.
Because my existence is dependent on you.
Right.
So when we come to the table, we don't come to the table as equals.
Right.
It's a paternalistic relationship. I give you something and you be happy with what I give you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that's what we are talking about here at the crux. So it shouldn't be a coincidence, Maceo, and I'm being honest with you. I'm married to this game, but it's not a coincidence when the 29 slogans that were given to these players that they did not vote on.
Right.
One of them says education reform flat out.
Yeah.
Economic reform part of that discussion.
Come on now. Come on now.
Okay. So the closest we get to that is group economics.
No.
Economic reform is not part of that discussion.
No, it's not.
Now you want to know why LeBron James says, I'm not wearing any of that? There's your answer. Because here's a brother that's created jobs for people.
Mm-hmm. And to that point, because Seb just has a question, do you think the rest of the NBA season should have been boycotted, or is playing out the season the better decision? And so this is another point that I brought up that a lot of people didn't know. The NBA owners, the league, basically held a big joker. If the players had opted out of playing, the owners could have tore up the CBA.
There it is.
They could have basically locked out the players for the 2021 season. And once cooler heads prevail, that's what most of the players. So when the vote was like 28-2, when the Lakers and Clippers decided, you know what, all right, we out. Other players were basically like, listen, we're not LeBron, we're not Kawhi. We hadn't made that kind of money. We won't be good if we're not playing. And if we get locked out, like everybody don't have a Nike contract. Everybody's not a millionaire in the NBA. That's the part of this that people didn't understand. So, yeah, the players were going to go back and play because this was bigger than just this moment and being a prisoner of the moment. They had to understand, man, look, what will a lot of these guys do? Listen, how many guys are on their rookie deal? How many guys hadn't seen that second contract? How many guys are on a 10-day or +1? They need one more year to either be vested or either, hey, contract time coming up. If I'm locked out, I'm done.
So again, what does it go back to, brother? We live in a country that has lobbyists. Right? Lobbyists are able to push their agenda through money.
Yeah.
Right? We are continuing to battle for social change in a capitalist society. Think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this is the issue that we have. It comes down to that. We do not deal as equals. We do not deal as equals. We literally are fighting for social justice in a capitalist society. Yeah. I will take those social wins. We need those social victories, but we cannot be distracted with just social victories, right?
Right.
One of the things, Maceo, and I'm saying this as a brother that graduated and played at a Jewish university, right? One of the things that Jewish people have is unity, right? One of the things that other nationalities have is unity. Right? Go into practically any metropolitan area in the United States, and there's an area where certain ethnicities or certain religions they are the economic influence in that certain area. We have in LA, we have Chinatown, we have Koreatown, we have all these different areas.
Yeah.
Right. So what's happened, Maceo, what's happened, brother, is it is not a radical idea for Jewish people to support Jewish people in business endeavors, etc. It is not a radical idea for Chinese people to support Chinese people in business endeavors, etc. Right? The only group where if I say I'm going to support a Black business today, right? The first thing that I met with is, well, you're keeping racism going. What about all these other businesses? Well, when you guys have institutions and businesses, it is not seen as some sort of radical act. Right. So we have to normalize society, we have to normalize it on two fronts. Black people have to get used to seeing Black people stand together and know this is not some radical statement, right? So we have to normalize Black people seeing Black people standing together. And then when it's normalized that way, other people have to be normalized to the fact that we're standing together. Case in point, as I said, I went to a Jewish university. At the time when I was at that university, one of the top universities in the country academically, at the time where I was there representing them as a student and an athlete, brother, there was around 4,000 students there, right? Maybe 60 of us were Black. So when we go to lunch, 5 Black people are sitting together at the table. Some of my Jewish friends would ask me, why do all the Black kids sit together? Well, when 30 of you all sit together at lunch, nobody asks that question because it's not a radical act to see other people standing together.
Facts.
But if 4 of us are in a group, all of a sudden people's antennae go up.
This is a gang. We're a gang.
Right.
We're a gang.
Maceo, in your state, there are laws on the books that says if 3 people are walking down the street, that can be considered a gang.
Considered a gang, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
This is what we are talking about here. Yeah. Right. So when you see these sisters and brothers standing together in unity as athletes, people think that that is some sort of radical idea because they have not seen us do that.
Well, I totally agree.
They have not seen us do that. So these things in society for people that even see us, that are allied with us, when they see us together, they're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And it's like, again, I went to a Jewish university that was great to me.
Yeah.
But I saw how that university operated. And that university opened, part of the premise why that university opened, Mace, is because of other elite universities in the country at the time excluded Jewish people. That's part of the reason why Brandeis opened.
Yeah.
But it's not considered a radical act. But let me say I'm going to Morris Brown. Why do we need to have Black HBCUs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So I say that we have to normalize on both fronts us standing together.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's what I really feel. That's what I really think. And I thank you for sharing your platform with me, brother. So to express that fellowship is needed.
Always. And this was crazy. And we're gonna dive deeper. I want people to understand this because, and I'm gonna tie it back together because when the players are asking the owners to do more, the reason why they're asking the owners to do more because the owners have the contacts and the connection because it's they run in the same circles. They have the same. And so I always think about this. I always tell people this. Think about what everybody did to try to get Meek Mill free. Jay-Z, a lot of these guys. So, I mean, a lot of guys. But who got the credit?
The ownership for the Philadelphia 76ers.
The Philadelphia 76ers. Those guys, because of their $1 billion Rolodex, it's only so high. And hey, Jay a billionaire, but Jay can't walk in the same rooms as the Philadelphia 76ers owner, as a Robert Kraft. All of these guys get so much credit. And when they did the photo ops, it was okay. Take him here to Philly. He hanging out with Robert Kraft and all these things. But it's this is what the players were basically saying. They were like, hey, we need you guys because you guys can walk in those doors. It's still doors as powerful as LeBron James, as much notoriety LeBron James has. It's still some doors that he can't walk through.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
He can't walk through those doors. But it takes his owner, it takes Jenny Buss, Jenny Buss can make that phone call. It's like they always say, you know, like certain hotels, you know, it's you can't get there. You can get to a certain floor, but you need a key
to
to
get
get to that top floor.
That's exactly right.
And that's the key that the owners have. And that's why the players are so adamant. Like, listen, owners, we need you to do more. But again, it's owners who are making money off these athletes who really don't like the call. So it's really like, all right, we'll write a check to what's your favorite calls? I'll write a check to it.
There it is. There it is. There it is. These and a lot of these checks that are written, brother, are literally, you have to really peel the onion, because a lot of these, some of these organizations, some, not all, some of them, some of these organizations are in fact, that when we talk about social change, are in fact, they are at the core of it, they're almost character building organizations. They're not real economic vehicles for change.
No.
They're assuming that something is wrong with your character, right? And so, and as I say this, we are talking about really dealing as equals, not say separating. It is, we're saying we want to deal as equals.
Right.
Right. So again, with these being character organizations, are they really giving you the tools that you need to compete from an economic standpoint? That's the question that you really have to ask yourself. And those are the things that, if we really want to see some sort of change, again, when we had Maceo, when we had the bus boycott that lasted 381 days.
Yeah.
That didn't happen because people were pushing for social change. It pushed because we stopped giving people money.
Yeah.
Right? It was no, we stopped giving people money, and it changed the other things. And so this is deep, man. So in order for this system, again, this goes back to economics. In order for this system that we have in place that has been so embedded in society, in order for this system to continue to take place, Maceo, you have to package racism and brand it and make everybody feel like that they are better than a certain group. And the certain group that you have to make everybody feel like that they're better than are us. Case in point, from an economic standpoint, it is a well-known fact that we laid out the infrastructure for Washington, D.C., amongst other cities in the United States. Because masonry work, the work that we now call general contractors work, that was considered slaves' work.
Right.
So then when we had, in order to keep this system going, as I said, you have to make everybody feel like they're better than a certain group. And in order to keep this system going, when we were doing that work, that contractor, that's called general contractors work, masonry work, carpentry work, etc., we were doing those things. So then when we started to have a wave of immigration from Europe, you have to make people feel like they're better than themselves, better than us, to keep this system going. So what did you do with all that work? Unionize that work. So the people from Europe can come over, they migrated to the United States, and they became the carpenters. They became the general contractors. And you made it so if you're going to be in this line of work, you have to be a card-carrying union member. So what did they do to us? You can't be part of the unions.
And join the union, right?
So now you can't be part of the unions. You taking these people that work with their hands and did all of this, and you told them you can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So now people that are part of those unions, what do they feel, Maceo? At least I'm better than them.
Yep. I got a leg up.
At least I'm better than them.
Yeah.
So you took an economic principle and made a social ideal.
Yeah.
You did it through economics. Right? You did it through economics. A great portion of this land, Maceo, was given away through the Homestead Act, right? If we're talking about closing the economic gap, I'm sorry, but I got to say this. If you're talking about closing the economic gap, right? Us as a people, Maceo, believe it or not, when everybody says, when you look at these statistics, when everybody says, "Oh man, you guys got to get better about education," because we know the system that we are competing in. What do our parents teach us? You have to go to college.
Yeah.
So we are amongst the highest group, and from an education standpoint, in the country.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't
What close? There it is. What closes the gap? I don't mean to be morbid, Hoop fam. When I leave, Jordan Williams has to have something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can't impart debt to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what closes the gap. So going back to the Homestead Act, a lot of the land in this country was given away to people in the Homestead Act, right? Under the guise of, if you work it for 5 years or pay something on it for 5 years, after 5 years, the land is yours. And we did this from 1862 to 1973.
Yeah.
So over 100 years, we were giving land away. So now you fast forward to today, and we look at some of these beautiful suburbs that have been built, right? These suburbs have been built because it was built on farmland that was given down from generations to generations to generations. And when they sold that land to a developer, they made millions of dollars off of that.
They cashed out.
Yes, off of land that they paid nothing for to get to begin with. Right? And then laws were put into place to say that I couldn't be a landowner.
Yeah.
And so now I can't be a landowner. I can't get a job. I cannot be a landowner. And then you turn around and so now, not only that, as you're giving people, the great Martin Luther King said this, as you were giving land away to people, you also open land grant institutions to teach them how to farm the land.
Yep. Double up on it, double, triple up on it.
Not only that, you put assessors here that attributed a value to that land that made you a millionaire.
Yeah.
Not only that,
yeah.
You also, to control the prices of certain products, you subsidize farmers to not put certain things into the market. Okay, you grow corn. We have an excess of that. So I know you're a corn grower. So I'm going to give you a check so you don't have to grow corn this year.
Yeah.
So essentially you receive welfare. And then you say to me, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps.
Go get it. You go get it. But they're giving it to them. You're giving it to them.
Do it through education.
It's crazy. And this is what's funny. It's always these they like to use the term legacy, it's legacy guy, he's gonna get into this school because you see that building over there, his dad built that building. They've contributed this money to they have an endowment that's just so all of their kids, if their last name is whatever that is, they can just stroll in here, no application, nothing. They're good for life.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
So to your point, I'm gonna say this. So to your point with that, brother, think about what you just said. Their dad built the building or something like that. Their name's on the building. They are and they are allowed access to the university. So the guy that designed Duke University could not even go to the school.
Right.
And they did not even talk about it until his grandchild said, yeah, my dad did this. Oh, yeah, now let's acknowledge it. And the only thing that they have done is put his name on a building. Think about that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Hoop fam, thank you for bearing with us. Seb Kennedy, you are my brother in this, and you know that.
Yeah. Hey, man. I just, and I wanted to make sure we covered that because I just got so tired of hearing that narrative about what the what how the owners bent over backwards for the players. No, they didn't. The owners bent over backwards for themselves because they were trying to make money. They didn't want to write that check back to TNT, ESPN, and other TV partners. Let's get the 8 games to satisfy you guys, and let's get this playoff. Oh, and by the way, I'm gonna hold this pistol to y'all head, players, because I lock you out in 2021 if y'all walk away. Stop it.
So you just spot on just said it in terms of, and I'm gonna let it rest on this. Because again, one of the expressions that I've used a lot when talking about this is because we are not dealing as equals, right? Because of that, even when people do something for us and it is the right thing, in their eyes, it is considered a favor.
Yeah. But look what we did. We let y'all put Black Lives Matter on the court.
Oh, by the way, we didn't even ask for that.
Right. That's you feeling guilty. You like, hey, well, let's do that first. Man, get out of here, man.
It is considered a favor. Even when you are, quote unquote, an ally, you are doing a favor for me because it is so embedded that our very existence is totally dependent upon your permission to allow us to exist.
It's that that separation that, listen, owners own. You know what I'm saying? You're a player. You work for me. And even though we partners, and again, people don't know this, NBA players, and this is why I put that post out that other day where the NBA is a players league because the players and the owners are basically 50-50 partners in revenue and all of these things. The NFL is a owner. Because listen, Jerry Jones, all these guys, they're the show. And they're not going to share the way that NBA, because the NBA understands that, hey, these guys, 75-80% of the league, we don't have a league if we don't have these guys. NFL still sit there and tell you, well, listen, okay, just now we've had a sprinkle of quarterbacks, just now we start to see this black wave of NFL quarterback. But for the most part, man, give me a white boy, black boy. You gonna hold a clipboard. So
and it was all, no question, and it was all of these reasons why we couldn't play the position.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's so it's I just look at this and there are real issues here that we need to really unpack and examine and really discuss if we're really going to have a real discussion. And if not, then it's not a real discussion.
Has to be uncomfortable. I say this all the time. Uncomfortable conversations have to be had for change to be made. Like, can't pacify me. You can't do. We have to listen, bruh. We out.
And so to your point, man, we can talk about this forever, but to your point, when people say, man, okay, so the players in the W and the NBA have decided to boycott. What's next? Your plan has to be thought out, right? Well, actually, what the boycott is saying is, if you look at, let's take LeBron James as an example, and he's not the only person that's active in the community, but let's take him.
Right.
Up until this point, LeBron James has, even before this man opened a school, even before he opened a school, he took students in the Akron school district and said, if you do this, I will pay for all of your college, right? Even before he opened the school. And then he opened the school and said, for all the kids that go on to college, I'm going to do the same thing, right? This man has done that. This man has family organizations. This man was, when he was in Miami, he did things where you remember where he would buy bikes for all the kids in the city and they would ride with him. all of the
Right.
different things that he's done, right? So Maceo, he did this right when. So this man has done all of this and all the other countless things that he's done. He's also bootstrapped in terms of taking and created jobs in his community for his people. He's also bootstrapped. So
Mhm.
he's done exactly what you, for people that are in the camp, you guys need to be responsible for your own debt. Well, he's done that.
He's done all that. He's done all that.
So let me ask you this. A couple years ago, in one of his homes in my city, what was spray painted on his home?
Yeah, they hit him with it. They hit him with the N-word.
Okay. So he's done all of these things,
Yeah.
right? None of it has sufficed.
Still not
For you
enough.
to say, so for you to say what's next, look at this man's track record.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You start saying what's next. What he's actually saying to you is, I've done all of this and it's still not enough.
Still not enough, dude. Y'all still say it's gotta be more. It gotta be more.
So for
Gotta be
all
more.
of the people that, oh man, they have to have this thought out and they got to have a plan. What's next? What are you talking about? What's next? Look at these guys' track record. Look at these women in the W. Look at their track record. They're telling you that we don't know what else to do because we've done all the other stuff that you say we should do.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's the real. We've done all of that. All the stuff that you say we should do, we've done that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, as I always say, man, the struggle continues, my guy.
No question, man.
The struggle.
Nip said it great, man. Shout out to the great Nip. The marathon continues.
The marathon continues, everybody. So we're gonna, we're gonna hit a couple of NBA points, and like I say, I knew we were gonna have this type show today. I had a lot of stuff built up, and I just get so tired. And listen, the mainstream media, this is what they're gonna do, but this is why we have to do what we do. And I always give huge props to Chris Hayes, who does an excellent job, because man, he's a guy I've had a chance to chop it up with him a few times when he's in Atlanta. He's covering the games here. He goes through a lot in the role that he's in, but what the players have come to understand with him, he's going to tell the story real. He's not gonna add, and a lot of these guys, they do it. They're gonna put the pixie dust, they're gonna add the matrix to it, they're gonna spin it their way. Chris gives it to him. And listen, a lot of those big time mainstream guys, they don't like Chris for that. Because he's gonna be able to, he can get LeBron on the phone, he can get Dame on the phone when these other guys can't. And that's what really in this industry that rubs people the wrong way.
Facts.
So you guys have to support your smaller media markets. You have to support the people who really, as we always talk about, RTO.
Real talk only.
We're not gonna fake it for y'all just to give you a story just so y'all can go click on it. No, we're gonna tell you what's real and what the real thought process is with these guys. So man, that's why I always appreciate being able to pull your coat, just call you and just ask you the perspective. Because like I say, you've been inside, you've been behind those enemy lines, like you've really seen it.
Yes.
And I know you had to bite your tongue a lot because we don't get the same opportunity as those other guys. I mean, that's just facts.
It's facts. We have to, and we see this in the highest office in this land, regardless of what people's politics are. If I am going to get a position, and this make it on a macro level, we see it at the highest office in this land. On the micro level, for me, macro bigger, micro smaller. Micro level for me, it's the person that holds the highest office in this land, regardless of people's politics, was able to hold that office and offend people all along the way.
Every day.
as he was campaigning, he literally said, I can stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and you will still vote for me. Not my words, his words. Okay. So I say that for a reason. Because the guy that we had in office before him, do you think he could have ran and said that?
No.
I rest my case.
They took
I rest my case.
They took his BlackBerry. They told him, hey.
I rest my case.
Yeah,
We have to be, so not only do I have to be insanely qualified, I have to be insanely qualified. The other thing that I have to do is they have to say, man, that Antonio Williams is a great guy as well. He gets along with everybody. That's what we have to do.
Yeah, man. We're gonna hit a couple of these NBA topics. Again, I knew this was gonna be the climate of this show today. It was much needed. Glazing out on Thursday kind of started going down this rabbit hole, but then more information came out, and like I said, that's the beauty of being able to do multiple days, because this thing gets deeper. We're gonna start with Mr. Porzingis. It seems like now they're saying it may be a game time. He may not be out, but early reports were that he's done. Could be done for the playoffs. Can this guy be a true second piece for Luka, or do Dallas need to kind of, hey, yeah, we really don't trust you right now. Let's find another Robin for Luka's Batman?
Well, I think what would be actually easier for them is when you have those two guys. I do think they need another perimeter scorer, right? With size. They need a dependable perimeter scorer with size that can guard. And everybody needs that.
Right.
That's what they need. With some athleticism, can create, can guard, because now you loosen some of that creator function, and you take some of that away from Luka, right? So you allow them to mix it in. So a person with size. The Lakers need this as well. A lot of teams need this, right? But I say that because I think it's much easier for them to find that than a true quote unquote for them to go out and try and trade for Kawhi Leonard, right? Yeah. Something like that. Because I do think as the way that Porzingis was moving forward and the way that combination was meshing together, I think that's a heck of a combination, man. And we spelled it out for multiple reasons when they play together, what you have to do defensively, right? Or what they virtually take away everything from you from a defensive standpoint. When they are in pick and roll, when they're in screen roll, when they're on the floor together, etc. I will say this. I guess as a player, I'm probably pro player in this regard. Players, Maceo, myself included, because when I tore my Achilles, I shouldn't have been out there. I needed to go sit down somewhere, right? Players need to be saved from themselves oftentimes, right? They need to be saved from themselves.
I say it all the time, dude. Do not ask a player if he want to play, because the answer is always yes.
I can do it. I can do it. Don't do that.
Ask Kevin Durant. Yeah.
Ask Derrick Rose. I can do it. Ask Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I can play.
Yeah.
We have clips of the great Kobe Bryant literally playing with his right shoulder separated. Yeah, and he's running down the floor like this, shooting the ball with his left hand. Take him out of the game. I know he can. Yes, I know he can score with his left, and he did. I know he can do that. Take him out of the game.
Man. Right.
Don't let this dude play. Don't let this dude be in practice and shoot around in his pajamas, shooting the ball with his left. Don't let him do that.
Yeah, man. Go home, man. Go over there. Get you some treatment. Sit down, man. Sit down.
because when we were at full strength and the Lakers figured this out, and that's part of the reason why Shaq, spent the first half of the year getting in shape. When they won their 3 championships, I think they had the best record in the NBA maybe once.
Right.
Right? Because, let's let Shaq get in shape.
And he'll be ready in June. He'll be ready in June.
Yeah. Exactly. And as a 3rd seed, we don't care about playing Game 7 in your house.
It don't matter. It don't matter.
It does not matter. We don't.
At Sacramento.
Right.
It don't matter.
Right. It doesn't matter. Because the Celtics, their second time in 2010 when Kendrick Perkins didn't play in Game 7 in the finals against the Lakers, when they met the Lakers in 2010 for that second time and they lost, the Celtics literally had their mindset was, we will beat anybody in the Game 7 in their house.
Anywhere.
It does not matter. So we're not. So the first time when we won the title in 2008, we had the best record in the league, right? And I'm referencing that, bringing it back home to Porzingis, is we are in such, as you say, Maceo, we are what's the phrase that you use in terms of recent history is what dominates us.
Prisoners of the moment, dog.
We are prisoners of the moment.
Luka was the GOAT last week. Luka was Larry Bird last week.
Yes. We are prisoners of the moment, right? So going into this, that's why I've referenced when we talked about this, and we've talked about this multiple times. When people see the Clippers and the Lakers struggling, they're actually dueling with the teams that they're playing against in the first round. This isn't the 0-1 Lakers. Not everybody is the 0-1 Lakers, where you are steamrolling through the playoffs, and the only game you lose in the playoffs is Game 1 against the Sixers when Allen Iverson went for 46, right? Yeah. In overtime.
Yeah.
And
a step over.
Right. And the step over, because they were going 7 games against everybody they were playing against, and the Lakers were waiting almost 2 weeks to start the finals.
I mean,
because they steamrolled everybody.
Chilling.
So revenge. So again, prisoners of the moment, right? People forget the 2008 Celtics that won the title were 66-16, #1 record in the NBA, and they won 7 games in their first 2 playoff series.
Because the Hawks, we should have got him. We should have got him here.
People forget that.
We should have got him here. If we could have got anything from freaking Josh
Smith. 7 games against the best team in the NBA.
Dude, we had him. We had
7 games.
Man, Gigolo Joe, started tripping. Josh, Josh Smith, man. Oh, man, you just hit a soft spot for me right there.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry to all my people in the A, you especially, brother.
Because after Zaza punked KG, and yes, he punked KG. KG was looking around like, man, y'all ain't gonna break this. Zaza was on the big ticket head, man.
Man, 7 games.
Right? I got emotional. I'm sorry. Keep going. Yeah, I'm sorry. Wow.
But you spot on. You spot on, brother. I'm sorry for bringing up a sore spot. But 7 games with them. 7 games with the Cavs.
Yeah.
Teams that they were better than. But nonetheless, the series was hanging in the balance. People forget those things, man. Yeah, so, like, to see the Mavs, making a series where it's like, okay, man, what's going on with the Clippers? Or see the Blazers beat the Lakers in Game 1. This is not something that we have not seen before, right? If we're talking about the NCAA tournament, that's a totally different discussion.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah. But when we're talking about a series, to see a team lose to see them lose some games, yeah. Especially when you start talking about the Western Conference, man. Come on now.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah. Crazy. So to answer again, put it in a bow. I'm the Mavs. Of course, it is easier to address. It's the same thing with the Sixers. There is this, man, is Embiid and Simmons, is that combination going to work? Do we need to break it up? Again, prisoners of the moment. That guy over my shoulder. my shoulder, they were swept. These were teams that won 60 games, and they were swept 3 straight years before they broke through.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That guy over my shoulder swept 3 straight years before they broke through.
Lessons, man. You gotta learn. You gotta learn the playoff lessons before you can. I mean, we watched it. If you follow basketball, everybody has gone through that. No, hit your head, hit your head, hit your head, figure it out. Then you finally break through.
Then you break through. And what they did was, we're not going to move on from these 2 generational guys.
Yeah.
Let's address everything else that's going on around the team. Because I'm telling you, Hoop Fam, as a person that sat in those rooms, look at the 76ers and look at the quote unquote process. How many of those draft picks that they collected, how many of those draft picks that they actually hit on? The 2 that you talking about breaking up.
Yeah. And let's go further than that, because once you got those 2 guys, all of a sudden you stop being in the lottery.
Exactly.
You start making the playoff run. Listen, you were a lucky Kawhi Leonard shot
from being in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I mean, no, Kawhi couldn't hit that. If you gave Kawhi that shot 10 times, he could not hit that shot again.
Especially with 4 bounces. and so you do this, and so what you did was all of those pieces, the JJ Redicks, right? The Marco Bellinellis, all of those pieces that complement them so well, you moved on from them.
Moved out. You couldn't keep Jimmy Butler in town. Oh my God, you bring in Al Horford, and then, oh my bad, you get Tobias Harris, $200 million.
You moved on from all those pieces, right? So for people to say, man, look, over the last 3 years, they have won something like 140 games, and they've lost something like 80. Yeah. So that puts them in the top 5 in the NBA over the last 3 years.
Right.
Only 2 guys have been there for 80% of those wins.
Yeah.
And you want to break them up?
And that's what's crazy, because I was asked that a couple of times this week. Well, did the process work? And I would say yes, man, because it kept them out. They went from being in the lottery every year to being a playoff team every year. So yes, the process worked.
And then the other thing, to your point, and this dude has been pretty good in the playoffs, right? I hope he continues this. Shout out to Markelle Fultz, because what he has gone through from a physical standpoint and a mental standpoint, what he has gone through, right? So shout out to him, Mace. And I'm saying this for a reason, because America, because he was playing in Washington, America doesn't realize this. They say, man, why did they draft him number 1? And I'm not saying that they should, he should have been drafted over Tatum. That's not what I'm saying. But in fairness to Markelle Fultz, the guy that was at Washington, the guy that was at McDonald's All-American Jordan game participant, etc.
He was worthy.
That was different. This guy that we saw, this is a different dude. This isn't the guy that was at Washington. What? And people don't realize that, right? So you have Ben Simmons and you have Joel Embiid. Imagine what type of team they would be, Mace, if they got the current version of Markelle Fultz.
Yeah.
The real version of Markelle Fultz.
Facts.
Where would they be if they had the current version of Markelle Fultz?
Yeah.
They're a different team.
Totally different team, dude.
So I say that it is much easier, man, now, I'm not saying that you have to keep those guys together forever.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it is hard to move on from guys that have made 6 of their 6 times 6. They've been in the All-Star game 6 times. They're like 3 times All-NBA. The oldest of the 2 is 24 years old.
Dude.
like you got to be to move on from that.
Yeah, man.
Stage.
Yeah.
Man, So with Luka and Porzingis, to move on from that, when there's such a premium on shooting, and these guys, as I touched on last week, Mace, they have the right temperament.
Yeah.
Right? To be great players in the league. To move on from that, that's a tall order, man. It's easier to get all the other pieces that you need to get in than it is to move on from that.
It is, man. It is. Our guy, Brody, Russ Westbrook, he will be back in the lineup tonight. I think this is big for Houston. I think OKC had kind of cracked the code a little bit. They had started figuring some stuff out. Now you bring back the energy, the high energy of a Russ Westbrook. How does he change this series now?
What he gives them is their second playmaker, man. He gives them their other real playmaker, right? So that the opportunity for other guys to really kind of bump back into their roles that they have become accustomed to playing, right? So now he gives them that playmaker that they need. That lessens some of that playmaking burden for James, right? And because people and let when you talk about Lou Dort, let's talk about Lou Dort, for example, right? And people look at OKC and they're like, man, how has Lou Dort been able to have some level of effectiveness against James Harden? And I use that in quotations because he's been as about effective as you possibly can against James Harden, right? From a defensive standpoint. What Lou Dort doesn't do, and this is part of the reason why, going back to our Mavs discussion, it's part of the reason why Luka has been successful from day one. One of the things when you look at, Mace, when guys come in the league and they come in the league early, they have to concede from a strength standpoint when they walk through the door. Well, Lou Dort doesn't concede from a strength standpoint. So what Lou Dort may lack from a skill standpoint, guess what he makes up with it from? A physical standpoint.
Yes, sir.
Right? So I can buffalo somebody into making some plays, right? So what I may lack in terms of seeing the game and all those things, I can make up for because I can just bull somebody out here.
Boy, I'm talking about, well, get out the way.
That's what I can do, right? The same with the great LeBron James. I can just buffalo somebody and then all of the cerebral stuff can come.
Right.
While I'm out here buffaloing dudes. So James, with how he plays, one of the underrated things about James Harden is just how strong he is, right?
Man.
So now Lou doesn't bounce off of James when James makes contact with him. So it's not that he stops James. He makes James work a little bit harder.
A little bit harder, yeah. I ain't gonna let you get a spot with that little tricky dribble. No, I'm
right. Yeah, exactly. When you hit me, I'm not moving.
No, sir.
And we see Kawhi do this, and we talk about this. We see Kawhi when LeBron guards him. Kawhi will shoulder him and try to buffalo him, and LeBron is like, "You got to come with more than that if you're gonna make me move."
Yeah, man.
So with that being said, James is now having to score and be a playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
So James is now back in the mode of what would wear him down in the playoffs.
Right.
When Russie came, Russ took on that responsibility. So Russ was having a great season statistically, and while he was having that season, people were looking at you, well, what's going on with James? Well, James can chill a little bit.
Yeah.
What's going on with James, right? So now he's fresher in the playoffs because he was able to chill a little bit. So now adding Russie to that helps them. And then the other thing that Russie gives them as well is when they go smaller, the Rockets have to gang rebound. Well, what's Russie? One of the greatest rebounding guards that we've ever seen.
Boy, give me that, Mr. Triple Double. Give me those.
Right. So they lost. So in addition to that high energy, in addition to a playmaker, they lost a rebounder.
Yeah.
So Russie being back gives them another rebounder. So that's the other thing that they lost. And then the third thing is Russell Westbrook is on the floor. Part of the reason that Dennis Schroeder has had a great playoff series. Chris Paul has had a great playoff series, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has had a great playoff series. When Rusty comes back, guess what those guys got to do now?
Somebody got to expend some energy to cover him. They got to go.
There you go. There you go. They got to guard somebody now.
Yeah, they've been on a little vacation.
There you go, brother. There you go. There you go.
There it is. They've been on vacation. Now here come Brody. We're gonna close with this one right here, and it kind of where we started. The Milwaukee Bucks. They look to close out the Orlando Magic Defensive Player of the Year, the Greek Freak. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be named MVP in the next few days. With all they're dealing with right now, they kind of brought the NBA to a halt. Now they're actually going to bring it back today at 3:30. Do you think they will be mentally strong enough to continue this journey and come out of the East?
When I watch them, one of the things that I look at for them is I almost don't even, and we've had this discussion before, I almost don't even look at what Giannis is doing because I know what Giannis is going to do. It's literally if Brook Lopez, Ersan Ilyasova, Chris Middleton, Eric Bledsoe, Wesley Matthews, we're in the make or miss league, if those guys make shots. If they make shots, the Bucks are hard to beat because they're going to guard. Giannis is going to be Giannis. If they don't make shots, Giannis will still be Giannis.
Right.
But what it does is it makes it even more difficult for Giannis to be Giannis because those other teams wall off defensively on him. He's still going to do it, but they make it more difficult for him to do it.
Right.
And they're going to guard. They're going to guard. Those guys have to do the things that they do. They have to do it. Chris Middleton is a 50-40-90 guy, has to be a 50-40-90 guy. And Brook Lopez, if he's going to hang out on the perimeter and he's going to bring the other team's opposing big away from the rim, he's got to make those shots and make them pay if they're going to give him those shots.
He got to knock him down.
He's got to knock him down.
Yeah.
He's got to knock him down. And then on the other side of that, even with Giannis doing what Giannis has to do or what Giannis does, I still believe if Brook Lopez is out on the perimeter on offense, he's got to help Giannis on the defensive glass. Right? He has to help Giannis because Giannis can't have 17 or 18 rebounds. And yeah, he could get away with that against Orlando.
Yeah.
But you're going to ask Giannis to get 18 rebounds against the Lakers? If you make it through against Anthony Davis, against LeBron James, against JaVale McGee, against Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James are great rebounders.
Yeah, they are.
So you're going to ask him to do that? I think so. For me, that has to be, and people don't talk about that enough. Those guys got to help him on the glass.
They do.
They got to help him on the glass. And defensively, they guard, but they have to guard because the other thing is if they don't guard, now you're forcing Giannis to a guy that's so reliant on paint touches, getting points in the paint. Now you're asking him to score against stacked defenses every time because you guys aren't guarding.
Yeah.
So they have to guard. They have to force misses so he can score. So Eric Bledsoe can score and help get out in open court, get out in transition. They have to force misses, right? So those other guys have to guard, and they have to guard. They have to help on the glass. They have to do other things to get Giannis. Be more creative, Mace, to get the ball to Giannis on the move, other than him getting the rebound and taking the ball 94 feet.
Right.
Right? They got to get stuff with him on the move where somebody else gets the rebound, take the predictability away. Somebody else gets the rebound, gets it outletted. They're dribbling the ball down the floor.
And let him go.
Then, yes.
They
got to do some more of that.
Yeah. Man, I'm really intrigued, especially the first quarter. I really intrigued to see how, where they are mentally, playoff P, excuse me, pandemic P, or whatever he calling himself. He talked about, listen, it's been mental for all of us down here in this bubble. Now that, again, everything has come out, how do guys feel about George Hill? Can he, because he's a big part of this team.
He's a big part of it.
Can these guys just fight off the emotion they felt for the last 3-4 days and get back into listen, we want to win the championship mode? Because man, I can't wait for 3:30, man. I'm definitely man.
Neither can I, brother. And again, looking at our queens again, they did it yesterday.
Yeah. They so dope.
Shout out to my girl Chelsea Gray. Chelsea Gray has been playing so incredible in the bubble. Let me say something, man. You know how many free throws Chelsea Gray has missed in the bubble?
I think one. Yeah.
Right? So I watched them play yesterday. I've watched all the games. I'm a faithful subscriber of WNBA League Pass. I watch and not just all the Sparks games, right? I watch all the games.
Yeah.
Right? The Candace Parker has been incredible. Man.
She on the MVP pace. She on the MVP pace. I'm gonna tell you who balled the other night. Skylar Diggins. Now that the girl done left the bubble.
Brittany Griner.
Now that Brittany Griner has left the bubble, that Tarazi Skylar combo right there is
been playing so well.
Quietly opened up the floor, because man, boy, you talking about just beating people off the dribble, man.
Skylar
Diggins was in her bag the other night.
Man, was she? And then shot again. The one thing I'll say about the wubble that's been very, very disconcerting for me is the injuries, man. Shout out Bria Hartley, please.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Yeah. So yeah, she has been. So our queens have done it, right? She, again, like you said, Skylar, I watched that game, right? So it just, like you said, in her bag.
Dude.
And so going back to what you're saying about the Sparks, man, like when you are, again, situations are everything, right? Yeah. Chelsea Gray is raw by herself.
Yeah.
But when you are playing with a big that can do the things that Candace Parker can do, it makes you so versatile offensively, right? She is getting the thing, bringing it up, finding, like, man. So it takes away that you can't relax as a defensive team, because if Candace gets it, you can't be like, all right, we can chill because she's got an outlet.
No, sir. Right? She run the point. She can run the point.
So now you are in emergency mode for an entire game, because you got to worry about her bringing it up. You got to worry about Chelsea bringing it up. You got to worry about Taya Cooper bringing it up, right? And think about the situation it's been for Taya Cooper. Man, if I'm a rookie and I get to play with these greats,
it's easy.
Think about what's going on with her learning curve now.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you this. I'm a tad bit jealous about this, because this my girl. Brittany Sykes has been a wonderful
man
to this squad. Oh
man. What she does defensively, what she does off the dribble, man. Like, again, they are so versatile, right? Man, all about opportunity, right? All about opportunity. So she's with the Sparks now.
I'm jealous.
Look at the opportunity for Benaja Laney.
Yeah.
Look what's happened for her, right? As a player, look how it's opened up for her, right? And having an incredible year. having an incredible year, man. So our queens have moved forward. They're playing. So our guys need to look at that.
Yeah.
If we're going to play, if we're going to do it, they need to look at that. And so I'm gonna say this about Paul George, brother. Again, as a player, he had an incredible game last time out.
Yeah. He needed it. He needed it.
He needed it. One of the things, here's one of the things that's underrated, Hoop Fam, and I'm gonna say this. When we say, man, you're in a slump, you got to shoot yourself out of a slump. That's part of the equation, right? The other thing that really got him out of that slump was, Mace, who did he guard from the jump?
Hey, it was gone Luka.
Luka.
Yeah.
So what that, you know what that forces you to do?
But expend a lot of energy down there.
It forces you to dial in immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you don't dial in immediately,
he gonna get
this dude is gonna embarrass you.
A quick 30.
He's gonna embarrass you, right? So that was a brilliant move to put him on him immediately. It forced him to dial in immediately.
Yeah.
Right?
He had to lock in from the start.
He had to lock in from the start. That's what that did. Right? So so again, Paul George is one of the guys that I'm tight about. We talk about how nice he is, right?
Yeah, man.
So
he nice.
there he is. Like, yeah, but that ain't on the low though, right? Like, so
you see that kid? They like, he nice.
Nice, yeah. So now with him being like that, man, I had this conversation when I was on the show earlier this week, and I was talking to the great Renee Montgomery. Shout out to my sister.
It's my dog.
Right? So we talked about playing with players that are so nice, Mace, that forget they can check in and out from game to game. They can check out from possession to possession because the game comes so easy to them that they can check out and still make impactful plays.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Paul George is so nice, so skillful at that size with the things that he can do with the ball that he doesn't have to be all the way in and still get you 20.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I got to be married to this thing. So that's one of the dangers when you have guys on your team where the game comes too easy for them. Right? And so, you know, and I can take this on the highest level again with this guy that was over my shoulder. One of the things that caused the rub between him and Shaq was the fact that Shaq did not have to be married to this to be Shaq.
Yeah, he didn't take it as serious as old Kobe.
Right? So imagine
Right.
Yeah. Imagine if Shaq had Alonzo Mourning's mentality, it would, man, right?
Yeah.
If he played the game like that,
yeah.
Alonzo had to play the game like that because he was really in an era of centers. He was an undersized center at about 6'9.5".
Yeah, limited.
So he had to play the game like that.
Yeah.
Right? Can you imagine if Shaquille O'Neal played the game like that? Man, could you imagine that, Mace? So
made me cry.
Or another guy. I'm gonna say this. Another guy that we made the case as being possibly the most underrated guy in the history of the NBA. Dominique Wilkins was also a training camp get in shape guy.
Yeah, man.
And he has said this.
Yeah. Who was that? I was just watching I'm trying to think who the knuckleheads had. Oh, yeah. So knuckleheads had Robert Ory. And they always their first question, when you came in the league, who was the first player to bust your ass? Robert Ory say Dominique Wilkins. And he said it was a preseason game. He say Neek gave him 20 so fast. And he was like,
This thing different, right? So Neek has said that, man. He has said, like, man, he has said I was a training camp guy.
He has said it because one thing Dominique did, Dominique balled till he fall in the offseason. He had his own club. He was the man.
He was the man. He said I was a training camp guy, right? Man. Another guy, another guy who I love, Hoop Fam. Again, the game comes so easy for them, right? That they can be impactful and do the things that they do and not totally dial in. In a game, Mace, the only guy to ever dunk on Shaquille O'Neal, DC, Derek Coleman. Hoop Fam, look at the clip.
People forget how nice DC was, man. People forget. He
got Shaq and he did this. He got Shaq. He did this to him, right?
People forget how nice DC was. DC left hand was nice.
Man. And so Charles Barkley said it. Charles Barkley said, and I quote, the most underachieving guy that I've ever seen in NBA history that I ever played against was Derek Coleman.
DC.
Barkley said this.
DC.
DC. How nice DC was. Because DC could do those things. Another guy that I was mad about. Man, could you do it, man? You 6'11", right? You talk about guys that are positionless in a way. DC was the real, and see, we talk about this, man, and I'll say this, Mace. I know we're wrapping up. When we talk about stretch fours and stretch fives.
He invented that. He invented that.
Because again, let's get to the essence of it. What we are talking about, and I say this as a scout, I'm not talking about, man, you showing me a 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet guy that's allergic to the paint. So you want to call him a stretch five. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a dude that can get it done in all the area codes.
Dude.
I can get it done in this paint.
Put DC on that block. Put DC on the block. Put him on the block down there.
Stretch four and the stretch five in the essence, the truest essence.
It's footage of DC catching that thing on that block down there and getting it to you, backing you down, or facing you up, getting you that, and you know he gonna spin left. You know he gonna spin left.
You know he coming, man. And then there's footage of him getting the ball, on the perimeter, 20, 30 feet from the basket, giving it to people.
Pulling.
Yeah.
Pulling.
Right? Man.
Yanking, as we used to call it, man. He yanking.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. And it's like, so as I say that, brother, that's the truth. No question. Emmanuel Walker, it's facts. Allergic to the paint. Right. So I'm so these are the guys that I'm talking about. Not guys that, I don't want to go down here, so I'm a stretch five. Right now.
Yeah.
So these are the people, man, that are so nice that they can go in and out during the course of a game and still be impactful, right? And Paul George is one of those dudes. Yeah, so what they did was, all right, you're going to guard this guy from the start, right? So now that jump started his level of engagement. Now I'm giving it to you on the other end because I'm locked in on the
teams, man. Yeah, I'm so geeked about these games today, man. Like I said, I'm glad that I would have been cool if they had to say they weren't playing no more. I mean, I would have been cool, but I am glad that we're gonna finish. Cause like I say, I want basketball in 2021, and the owners were gonna hit them with the fugazi. The owners were gonna be like, yeah, well, we're gonna keep all our money to ourselves. We'll see y'all in 2022. If we decide to. I mean, the pandemic has already proven that, hey, man, we need to save them chips anyway.
Facts. The pandemic said, I'm in control, right? That's one of the things that people say on some of the other platforms I speak on. And that's the pandemic is they Kendrick Lamar, Big Sean, and Jay Electronica, the game. Produced by No ID. Control, right? The pandemic says, I'm in control.
I got this, right? Man. I got this. Wear a mask. No, don't wear a mask. Wear a mask. Wear a whole face shield.
Yeah, right.
What do we know, man? Dude, I'm glad we was able to get deep today, man. Like I said, I knew we were gonna go left a little bit because it was necessary, man. Like I said, I had to cut the radio off, man. I just got tired of hearing like, dude, man, that's not it. But you talking about that ain't it, dude. I can't wait till me and my dude get on. So y'all what it is, because we know what it is, man. Y'all
what
don't.
It is. Yeah.
Stop talking them crazy people, everybody.
Facts. And stop, believing that stuff and hearing that stuff, man. and even believe in the people that feign being allies, right? Listen to the people that are real allies, not the ones that feign being allies.
Bro,
they're more dangerous than the people that say that they're not with us.
Bro, all the blue check Twitter society, hey, we got just as many contacts as they do, everybody. So relax. Just because they got a verified account don't mean nothing. Sometimes they just sit in their office. I'm telling you, I just seen them do it. They just sit there like, let me hit them with a hot take. And now they Twitter popping. Y'all stop giving into that, man. Dude, have a great day, man. I'm finna go
you too, brother.
Hang out with my 2 favorite ladies, man. Get it in, man. You know, I don't know what we're gonna do, but I'm pretty sure spending money is gonna be involved. But
there's no doubt. You have to do that. One of my favorite ladies is with one of my other favorite ladies. So my daughter is with my mom, and then my second favorite lady, my third favorite lady, not in order, but my third actual number 3 favorite lady is probably somewhere spending some money too.
So yeah, man, let me go say a prayer, brother. Appreciate you, man. We'll do this again next week, my dog.
Yes, sir. We'll do it, man. Stay safe out there, brother.
Everybody, we appreciate y'all for hanging out with us, man. Again, y'all know how we do, man. We're gonna go watch some basketball and some college football later on today. Marlon, I see my cash out, Marlon, since college football is on the way, baby.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Peace, my brother. Peace.
All right.
All right, y'all.